Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Scott Steen, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
And we do this each and every day. The two of us do 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, as we do our best to help you guys head back to the window to cash those winning tickets. How'd your weekend go, buddy? Head back to the window a lot?
Yeah, actually went pretty well. I won not one, but 2 play of the day videos. Who would have thought? I can't believe it.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well done, sir. Well done
Thank you.
indeed.
But I transitioned over to tennis a little bit over the weekend. That was nice. NASCAR on the show, I basically broke even. As for my personal plays, I crushed it. So that was good for me, but nobody cares because nobody else saw it. And I had the All-Star game under in the second half. And I know we both made money on that.
Yep, we did. I mean, you very rarely get a kind of a mathematical edge like you do with the Elam ending in place. So, yeah, it's you played the second half, I played the full game, and we both got there. So
the second half was especially funny because they put the line at 144, and I'm doing the math because, of course, as a gambler, that's what you're obviously doing, and you're penciling in the Elam ending. The leading team has to reach 24, and the team that's trailing has to reach, the target score, whatever. So it was a close game. I think it was a 1-point game at the half or something. And I'm just going through the math thinking, if they score less than 100 in this third quarter, which they had done the previous 2 quarters,
right,
then it's just a rocking chair.
As long as
they put them
as long as they're within, as long as it's a close game.
Yeah, and it was a close game. So they put up 90, and it was a 1-point game. So I hit an auto-win rocking chair on the second half before the fourth quarter even was played.
Yep. That's exactly right. And we were there. We were basically in the same spot as long as the favorites won. We were, because it was a 1-point difference going into the fourth quarter. We were basically there as well. So the only thing,
you know who would especially love Elam endings, by the way?
Elam.
College basketball total bettors, because you can't go to overtime.
Oh yeah,
no overtime.
If there was a 50-50 breakdown of when I got hosed and when I didn't, I'd be fine with that. But it doesn't seem to go that way. It just doesn't go that way. Thanks, JB. Yeah. That's just when I looked at the math of it, it just didn't make any sense. Bryce Multane, Steph Curry, the best 3-point shooter ever. That's what the books say, and that's what I say, and that's what Bryce says. I guess Reggie Miller's the only other person you could even have in the same discussion, and I think that discussion's
Ray
over.
Allen.
Huh?
You could have Ray Allen.
Yeah, I suppose. All right. Curry was shooting with his eyes closed. Probably, and it's a shame that he shoots 100 times better than either one of us with his eyes closed, and we would be fully open and all that. So it is good to be here, guys. Good to be back after a weekend. It's Happy President's Day, so congratulations to all you presidents out there. Go buy some towels. I think isn't that we used to, they have the white sale. You go buy sheets and stuff and towels. That's the big President's Day item. Beds, I think.
I'll keep that in mind. I was not aware of that.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Yeah, that's right. You could have had the 3 hit. And that would have been, that's the only thing that they could have screwed us. So, totally agree there. Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get that out of the way if you haven't done it already. We appreciate everybody that's out there watching. Smash the thumbs up, and more presidents needed in your wallet. That's no shit. And some non-presidents too. You can keep your Lincolns and Washingtons. Just give me the Benjamins. Give me the Benjamins. That's what I'm looking for. Even the All-Star game, they played the spread. I did, dude. I have to admit it. I got suckered in. I looked at those rosters and I went, it's gotta be LeBron here. Nope. 3 points. That's the number. So anyway, of course, don't forget to listen to our pals, Jim Williams, Chris King, doing their show every day, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 Central. Just Parlays. Today it was Just Parlays, and Allie was on. So we had her on as well when we did our Super Bowl pregame show. So we'll have to have Allie on. We'll have to have Detroit Lenny back on. They were fun. They were both a hoot, dude. I think the show would quite possibly go off the rails with both of them on the show. So that'll be fun. And, of course, don't forget to check out our pals over there at BetMGM. Got a great deal going on. I assume it's still going on. I haven't gotten notification it's not going on, so we're going to say that it's still going on. If you bet $10 on any NBA game, if anyone makes a three-pointer, how much do you win, Scott?
$200.
$200. 200 cool presidents, small presidents, first presidents. $200.
On President's Day.
On President's Day. What could be better? Except there's no NBA games today, right?
No.
We're back tomorrow? Back Wednesday?
I believe it's Wednesday. It might even be Thursday, but I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday.
That's a good contract. All-Star games, the Yankees play on Thursday. Somebody's got to play on that one Thursday game coming out of the All-Star break for baseball. Anyway,
let me actually see when they're coming.
BetMGM, get over there, make your bet. We got the links and we got everything set up in the show description. So go over there. Of course, you know where it's. You know you have it. If you live in a state that has it, you know you have it. And of course, you must be 21 to play. Void where prohibited. And if you think you might have a gambling problem, make sure you do take care of that as soon as possible.
It is Thursday, by the way.
Thursday they're coming back. Scott, we're gonna have a baseball season this year.
Delayed, but yes.
Okay.
They can't afford a lockout. They actually just can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same way.
Spring training is going to get thrown half out the window as a result.
Yeah, and I think that was our prediction all along. You think they'll make opening day? I think they'll miss it by a couple of weeks.
It's possible. The way that I see it is, it's one of those classic standoffs where both parties know a deal needs to be reached, and yet nobody wants to blink first. So they're both standing there like idiots. And then eventually the days are going to come by waiting for the other side to blink. They're not going to. And then they're going to have to get together one day for a 5-hour meeting and hash it all out. That's how it's going to go.
Supposedly they're going to meet every day this week, so we'll see how that goes. And don't forget, guys, if you don't like and subscribe, Reichel's going to have to get his own place. So,
it's going to happen. It's happening already, so keep that in mind.
Because now we're away from the shed. We got the backdrop back. So
the shed did its purpose, man. I want to play. I had to go above and beyond to try to snap the streak.
Right.
The changing backdrop did its job, and now we're back.
All right, very good.
Just like that.
Definitely going to be a shit show of a season with pitching injuries. I don't disagree with that. It seems like nobody needs spring training until everybody starts going down with injuries in April.
Are there rules about how the pitchers can actually prepare? I doubt they can report to the actual staff, the pitching coach and whatever, for workouts because they don't have a labor agreement, right?
Right. They can't use
all yourself independently.
Yeah, they can't use the team facilities. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if everybody on the coaching staff has a buddy that runs a we've got 4 or 5 of them here, training centers, which usually
But Arizona also is pretty popular.
Yeah, I bet Arizona's got a few of them too. So I bet they've all got hookups. You probably, I don't want to tell you officially, but you might want to go work out over here with my buddy, whoever. So I'm sure they're still doing their best to stay in shape. Of course, they wouldn't be pitchers and catchers. Would be reporting this week? I think right about here.
It's either this week or it was supposed to happen last week. Sometime soon. That's clearly not going to happen.
Yep. Zach Vaughn talking about his beat on the Michigan-Wisconsin under 139.5 into that game was just a mess. Oh.
Yeah, landed 140. Not a good time.
That may come up again in the show too. So let's recap the weekend, Scott. Let's find out what happened, man. Let's find out, first of all, who's happy, who's sad, who's a winner, who's a whiner, who took it in the shorts, and who took it to the bank. It is time to reveal the Monday. Oh, it's got to be bad because it's a Monday, man. Hey, let's call the cops. All right, very good, Scott. Let's of course get it rolling as we always do in the NBA. No, I'm kidding. there was no beats in the NBA, but if you are in the NCAA, playing a pretty nice little Sunday slate there. Had some decent teams involved, and these are 2 of them. You had Creighton -1.5 against Marquette. Creighton hit 2 free throws to go up by 4 points with 4 seconds left. Marquette, God, it's the 3-pointer. At least they didn't foul him and go to overtime, but it was the 3-point floater, and it ended up, when that went through the basket, 0.1 seconds left. Creighton wins by 1. Not good, Bob. So congratulations if you had Marquette plus 1.5. That was good. But if you had Creighton minus 1.5, time to call the cops.
Is it worse if I mention that he banked it in from the wing on a floater?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that
Okay.
certainly makes it
That
worse.
happened.
Yep.
But if you had Houston and Wichita State under 133.5, probably the worst beat of the entire weekend. You only had 112 points in regulation.
Man.
Even number. You've seen the story before, 56-56.
All right, we can take one overtime.
Yeah, you're 24 points clear, 23 points clear, You're
right,
good.
Right.
They put up 20 in overtime.
Okay,
so you're fine.
Cool.
You win.
All right.
66-66.
Oh, God.
You're going to double overtime. Game landed 150. That's pretty rough.
Nope. And because we weren't on that, you could not survive double overtime. Sorry, guys. And finally, back to the Big East we go. If you had Providence Butler under 129.5, 128 in reg. 64-64. There you go. They were able to do it in the overtime period. Game landed 141. Sorry, Providence Butler. If you had under 129.5, time to call the cops.
College basketball where a lot of unders go to die.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was some good news out there, Scott. And you know who you are. You were sitting where you wanted to be sitting. You had a nice, easy victory. Maybe you even had an under that cashed easily. But whatever the case may be, you were sitting in the rocking chair.
So the first one in hockey, if you had the Sabres and the Blue Jackets over 6.5 goals, 4 goals in the first period, 4 goals in the second period. They only put up 2 in the third, so I guess that might make you feel better if you were an under better, but no, the game went over by handily, landed 10.
If you had Northern Iowa -2 against the Bears of Missouri State, Northern Iowa led by 16 at halftime. Hey, Missouri State, you're going to get your shit together in the second half? We are not. Northern Iowa wins by 20. Congratulations. If you had them covering 2, you were definitely sitting in the rocking chair.
And the last one, if you had Temple +8 against Cincinnati, Temple randomly fares well against Cincinnati all the time. And they led by 14 points at halftime, won outright by 4.
The Owls. So, I've been working on my algorithm, right, for college total.
God. You and the Fields medal. Damn algorithm.
So, here's the deal. I had a shit ton of plays over the weekend. The overs, it was printing money. 17, 2, and 1 to the over. That's how I did. Thinking pretty good, huh?
How'd the unders go?
Not so good. Not so good. The unders, we went 3 and 9 on the unders.
So toss the unders out and keep betting the overs.
Yeah, the weird thing is, and this is the part that worries me to try to get any consistency, the week before, it was the unders that were more consistent. So
bet the unders and no bet the over. I mean, you got to look at it net-wise. So if you bet every play on the system, you still made a boatload of money this weekend.
Correct. I still ran 57% when all was said and done. So, and it's been successful since I started doing it, and not just started doing it public, because I tracked it for a couple 3 weeks before I unleashed it on anybody. And I gave out 8 premiums for the system, Scott. 4 overs, 4 unders. All 4 overs hit. 3 of the 4 unders lost. So
that's still a 5 and 3.
I know. And I told him when I did the video, I said, obviously we'd like to go 8-0. What I'm aiming for, 62.5%. I'll be happy with 5 and 3. And that's what we were. So, anywho, just an update for those of you that were wondering. All right, so let's take a look at see what we got going. Don't give us any more unders. Yeah, no shit, Bill. Believe it or not, that had occurred to me. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on what the unders are doing. And I was really tempted. There's a really good system under tonight that just for general principles I didn't give it out, but it was I think it's Seattle. I was looking real quick here. So Scott, you've been looking at the comments while I've been babbling here. What games are we looking at? Anybody have any questions?
I saw somebody mention Florida State against Boston College. They're mentioning the total in that one, looking at the over I'm actually looking at the side more in that game. I know Florida State has been pretty underwhelming this season, 14-12, but they're currently favored by 1 against Boston College. I like the Seminoles in that game. I think Boston College might be the worst team in the conference, or at least bottom 2, bottom 3. Florida State, I think, is just the better team. So I'm looking at the Seminoles, even though I am aware their road numbers are not exactly good straight up in ATS, but I think we'd agree they're better than Boston College. Would we agree on that?
I'm not sure that we would. I mean, I guess if you look, I mean, if you're looking at the records, obviously Florida State with the better record, so sure, okay.
It's more just talent. Like I've tried watching Boston College play this season.
Yeah.
Florida State's at least had some moments. They beat Duke. They beat Miami. They've won some games. Boston College is just bad at basketball. Like, they could win because they're at home, obviously, but this line does seem a bit short, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough. I can see that because they've had some bad losses. They've had a 9-point loss to Syracuse at home. 5-point loss.
Boston College got swept by Syracuse.
Georgia Tech. Yeah. Well, yeah, very true as well. For me, I'm not going to get involved in this. If you've chosen Florida State, God bless you. As far as the total goes, Boston College, to me, that's a team that bleeds points. I think they're going to give up 71-73. So, in your eyes, where does that put Boston College? How many Boston College going to score?
Oh, God. I got no damn idea.
I mean, to me, that number seems pretty close. If you've got Florida State in the low 70s and your total's 136.5, I'm not getting involved there.
I think I'm just looking at a Florida State team total over. I just feel like if they're going to win, they're probably going to score 70 plus.
Yeah.
So I would just go from that approach.
Okay. Yeah, don't hate that.
Saw somebody asking on Middle Tennessee State against UTEP. I can't really go against the Blue Raiders because they're undefeated at home. They're 12-0 straight up, 7-2-1 ATS at home. UTEP has been decent, don't get me wrong, but when you have home numbers that good, I'm automatically going to gravitate towards you.
Yep. Jim Johnson asking about Georgia Tech and Maryland. You and I talked about this Maryland game. Penn State is a dreadful road team. Not.
Wait, you said Georgia Tech, Maryland.
Georgia, two different games. Georgia Tech and Maryland. I assume, because obviously they're not playing each other.
I was going to say they're not playing each other. So.
Right. So I'm assuming it's Georgia Tech and Maryland. So yes. Again, Penn State just dreadful on the road. 2-8 straight up. They average 60 points a game. Maryland has been wildly inconsistent. We've seen them come through for us a couple times, and we've seen them absolutely jump up and. In fact, wasn't that the play that got you off the schneid?
Yeah, I had Maryland against Nebraska, and Maryland kicked the crap out of them.
There you go. But having said that, this Penn State team, for the most part, I don't want any part of them on the road. I'll take Maryland there. Georgia Tech, Scott?
I'm not interested in Georgia Tech. I agree with you about Maryland, but for the Yellow Jackets here, Syracuse actually been playing better lately. They couldn't have really played any worse, but Georgia Tech's also a bit shorthanded. Going to be missing Devon Smith. He's out with a concussion. He's not a great player. He's averaging 5.7 points per game, but Georgia Tech is kind of offensively challenged to begin with. You're missing another bench guy. I'm not exactly a fan of that. We know Syracuse's zone defense typically, at least the last couple of years, gets better as the season goes on. I don't want to say Syracuse has turned a corner, but they're definitely playing better. I'm just going to take Syracuse in the carrier. You?
What's my number there?
About 8.5.
8.5. That's wow.
It seems big, but Georgia Tech is so bad.
Yeah, that seems just a little. Yeah.
I wouldn't bet it, but it's my personal lean there. I just think Georgia Tech is an abysmal basketball team.
They're not ideal. Although, if you look at their spreads, 9.5 point spread against Virginia, they lose by 10. 8 point spread against Miami, they lose by 9.
They're not covering. Means they're going to lose by 9. That's what that means, right?
Yeah, I mean they stepped up against Boston College and they beat Pittsburgh, but we've seen that Pittsburgh team really struggle at times. I'll lean Syracuse there just because I don't know how many points Georgia Tech's going to score, but I'm not excited about that game.
See, Rowan, you can make an argument that Syracuse might be looking ahead, but Syracuse is 14-12. They need to win every game if they want to have a shot to win the tournament. Like, you can make an argument that they're looking ahead. If they lose this game, they're obviously not going dancing unless they win the conference tournament. They shouldn't be going dancing anyway because they lost to, who was it, Lafayette earlier this season? Like, they had a couple of brutal losses, but I don't think they have the luxury of looking ahead when your record is 14-12.
1777, I totally get that. It's a team I don't like to bet against, Syracuse, especially in the Dome. I'm definitely, I get that point as well. Needs all the wins to stay in a good spot in the tournament. Yeah, I think the only look-ahead game they're going to have is looking ahead to, at best, spending a weekend in the city in late March.
Or maybe going to New York City for the NIT.
That's what I meant. That's what I said.
It wasn't Lafayette, by the way. They beat Lafayette. They lost to Colgate.
Oh, sorry.
I had the wrong team. Whatever.
Fair enough. Sorry. Yeah, you're way out of line there. Blew out Boston College. Very true. They do shoot the three well.
I'm just looking at the injuries in Georgia Tech, just being a pretty underwhelming team all season long. Passner goes small on occasion, but Syracuse just has the zone defense. I do think they should do a pretty good job against Georgia Tech, in my opinion.
Excellent. Somebody was asking about the Citadel.
I like the over in that game. I mean, it's really tough not to like the over between Citadel and Samford when they played earlier this season, and that game broke 200. It's really tough to not like the over there.
Want to make a case? I had the over in that game. Citadel +7.
Yeah, Citadel definitely has been a team that has been undervalued this season. I do think that Samford is a decent conference team, but do you want to lay that many points against a team that beat them outright by 14 earlier this season? Probably not.
Yeah, they are. They're wildly inconsistent. They're a very frustrating team to try to get a handle on. But they do have they've got a real player there in Hayden Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a fan. He leads the team in scoring almost 19 points a game, and shoots really well from the field. I'll take the points here. It could go badly the other way because Citadel has had a tough time scoring against some teams, but Samford isn't usually one of those teams. These I've said it before. These teams play defense like I view the salad bar. Like don't really want any part of it. So
I acknowledge it's there, but I'm not interested.
Yeah, I see it. I understand other people do it, but for me, not so much. So. Yeah, I'll take the Bulldogs there. That's fine. 158. Want to get involved there?
Over. First game landed 200 in regulation. How am I supposed to take it?
Take a contrarian play there on that.
I'm rooting for you, but no, not really. You might. It sounds like a hell of an idea until you see 92 points in the first half, and suddenly you realize that you've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, and then I've certainly had that feeling before when you try to be too clever by half or whatever. You just fucking out clever yourself into a loss. Let's take a look at a couple things we need to talk about here, Scott. As one of them kind of fun, one of them kind of not so fun. So,
but one was fun, but in kind of a sad way. But it was still entertaining.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Let's start with the good news. Let's find out who made some people some money. Not necessarily us, but definitely made some people some money out there. Some people that are way smarter than we are about this particular topic. Let's find out who it is. You were warming up earlier before the show in the green room, Scott. It's time for today's gambling hero of the day. All right, very good. So I don't know if you guys, if you're one of the couple hundred that watched our NASCAR show, which we don't know. Could be coming back, could not be coming back. We don't know. We're in discussions right now. So if you watched it, we had some fun. We started a little cold. We're not going to lie. We started a little cold. I don't believe this gentleman's name was mentioned at all. But if you had NASCAR rookie, that's right. He's a yellow taper. First race of his life in the Cup Series at the Daytona 500. Welcome to the show, Austin Cindric. Great finish. Nice block by the youngster. Almost let Bubba Wallace sneak by on the inside, but couldn't quite get there. Great race. He was 33-1. Scott, he went off at 33-1 to win the Daytona 500. That'd be a nice payday to start your NASCAR season, right?
No, it would be. I thought it was a pretty fun race. Truth is, Keselowski was crashing half the field the entire time, so that was a mess. I feel like Kyle Busch was involved in like every accident, but he still managed to finish the race, so I'm actually going to give him props on that, because I saw the M&M car involved in like 3 separate wrecks, but he just kept pushing. But for the show, I ended up going negative 0.17 units, so I basically broke even. Personally, I crushed it, but nobody cares. I had a local that offered me other matchups, manufacturer props that I couldn't find. So my race went well. As for the show, I basically broke even.
All right, very good.
Zach, I did not have Cindric winning, unfortunately. That did not happen.
No, we did not. So, yeah, good time, good race. For me, the jury's still out on the single lug nut tire or the single lug nut wheel.
Couple of tires.
As we saw
flying away.
2 fucking wheels and tires rolling down the track. So maybe some tweaks there. Now there is one other thing that happened this weekend, and I feel this is probably the most. If you had this as being talked about on the show, it's going to be a rocking chair play. Scott, let's surprise absolutely no one at all as we reveal today's donkey of the day. I feel like we really had to let that one go the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead.
So, of course, you know that there was a college basketball game involving the school that I went to and Michigan, as Wisconsin ended up beating Michigan yesterday pretty handily. There were some issues right around the end of the game towards the handshake line at the end. Long story short, Michigan State was Michigan was down about 15.
Mm-hmm.
Full court pressing with 20 seconds to go. Greg Gard took a timeout, went up 15 points with about 15 seconds to go. Juwan Howard wasn't exactly a big fan of that timeout. Then they walked past each other in the handshake line. Gard appeared to stop Howard with maybe a light grab of the arm. Both teams came together. You had a bit of a skirmish. And then Juwan Howard threw a right hand. Right? Was it a left hand or a right hand, actually?
Believe it was a left.
I think it was a right.
Okay.
Was it left? Okay,
see.
either way.
That's why eyewitness testimony can't be trusted.
Depends on which way the camera's focused. Anyway, he threw a hand, and he stocked and slapped the hell out of a Wisconsin assistant coach.
Joe Krabbenhoft. How could you not know that?
And, yeah. He open palm slapped him. And now you have a controversy on your hands on what the punishment's going to be.
I think you just let Gard have one shot, or maybe let let Krabbenhoft have a left-handed slap.
Okay.
Just like
backhand or front hand.
Forehand.
Forehand. Okay.
Like you see those Russian slapping contests on YouTube and shit like that, where you just stand up and you just slap each other. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think there was a lot of wrong to go around, but you can't throw hands. That's pretty much the bottom line.
Whether or not you want to make a case that Wisconsin might have escalated the situation, you can't slap an assistant coach for the other team.
You just can't do it.
Like, you can't.
Nope.
Especially nowadays. In the 80s, maybe Bobby Knight could have gotten away with it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, as long as he didn't hit him with a chair, he was going to be
you
fine.
didn't try to choke a player like Woody Hayes. But still, hell, you had John Chaney trying to assault or come after Calipari in a press conference in, like, the 90s. Like, you had situations. In today's, climate, you can't do that. Do I think he should be fired? Yes. Is he going to be fired? Probably not. I think he will get suspended for the rest of the year because Michigan's probably not going to make the tournament anyway. I think he'll miss the rest of the season. He'll come back next year, and he'll be on extra double secret probation. You?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm now some people in the comment section are bringing up some excellent points about the players that were involved because there was a couple of Michigan guys that really stood out, and I couldn't catch a number, but there was a dude throwing some serious right hands there, some serious right crosses, and I don't think they really connected. But I agree. I think it's probably going to be at the minimum, and it's a rest of the year suspension. I don't think, because it doesn't seem to be like a pattern of events or anything like that.
It's a second issue with handshake lines. I forgot who the first one was. I want to say Ohio State.
Was it Woody Hayes?
Holtzman last year, I think.
Okay.
Maybe. I know that this definitely wasn't the first time he's had issues with an opposing coach. I think it was with Ohio State last year. But either way, he's had some problems with containing his emotions. Can you believe that? Juwan Howard can't contain his emotions? Who would have thought?
I know, right? Bronco Devil brings up a good point. Said the head coach has to be above it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. Roland says the last incident was maybe in the Maryland game. So
it's in Maryland. Okay. Of course, the worst situation was Kansas State. That doesn't involve Juwan Howard. That was when you had players going to the stands and you had a whole situation on your hands. But Juwan Howard's got to be better. And as an organization, you can try to take the high road where you try to suspend him, and you might not have to pay him because you might have grounds for termination. Kind of like what we saw with the Jaguars with Urban Meyer. But I expect them to keep him and give him a third strike.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably...
Okay, Lauren's telling me it was Turgeon with Maryland. It was red and white colors. Whatever. I had the wrong school. Sorry.
Well, having watched Turgeon play at KU, he's a bit of a Jekophosaurus as well. So
okay.
Ryan Page calling Bruins blowout happening right now over the Avalanche. That's a bold call right there, buddy. That's strong.
Well, they are playing right now.
Oh, are they?
And the Bruins are up 5-1.
Oh, okay. Oh, good call. So strong call indeed. Yeah.
Roland, I think that's the point. I think he will be terminated if they can find a way to not pay him the majority of the contract. Because when it comes to, in college sports especially, the most dreaded words you can hear, or an AD can hear, is the word buyout. That's like the worst word you can possibly use. So since they paid a decent amount of money to secure Howard's services for a long period of time, if they can avoid paying him that amount of money because of conduct grounds, whatever, some loophole here and there, he'll be gone. I'm not sure if they can get away with it.
Let me ask you this. Does it matter that he's having a shitty season?
It doesn't help if you want to make an argument that the boosters might not have.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think that could shield him from a suspension for the rest of the year, but it could shield him from some of the, maybe Juwan Howard doesn't deserve all the money. Maybe he's not quite as good as we thought he was. That kind of stuff, where he's kind of come back to earth this season, and Michigan is kind of who we thought Michigan is. Any thoughts on that?
I definitely think he'd have better job security if the team was actually good.
Yep.
They're probably not going to make the tournament. I said that a couple weeks ago. They had a couple of wins here and there where maybe they had a chance, but I kind of think they needed to at least be competitive with Wisconsin yesterday, and they just weren't. But, I just think he's done for the year, and they'll hit the reset button. And if I had to guess. And
it will be interesting to see who else gets suspended from the team, or maybe the teams. And the real heartbreaker would be if it would cost Wisconsin a couple of players.
The way that I see it, Howard will probably get the rest of the year, but probably not fired. I think guard will get a game, and I think the assistant coach will get 2-3 games.
Yeah. Now see, the question is, what drew Howard's attention to the assistant coach?
Well, the assistant coach, as you saw, things were starting to kind of calm down once you actually got bodies in between guard and Howard. And then the assistant coach kind of just half sprinted in there, and it seemed like he escalated it again. So I do think the assistant coach should get more than guard. But if you want to give one game to guard for grabbing his arm when he didn't need to,
Right.
okay. But Howard should clearly be the most punished guy here.
You know, that's the thing. But, you know, and I'm kind of, I'm still in the Bronco Devil camp that the head coach has to be above all that shit. But I will say, from a devil's advocate standpoint, you put hands, you put hands on somebody, you reach out, you stop them, you physically impede them from going somewhere. You know what? We're probably going to have a problem. Not going to lie. And no matter what the circumstances are. So, you know, that's where you need that kind of restraint that not a lot of us have, to be honest with you. To remember that you're a head coach and you're setting an example and all that shit. And that, you know, obviously that part didn't happen. But, you know, if you heard the recording, Howard said, I'm going to remember this. And then guard said something inaudible and Howard tried to walk past him and guard stopped him. So
I'm assuming, though, that if you say you're going to remember this, guard's got to also keep in mind, what does that mean for future meetings? So I do think it's understandable if guard wanted a bit of clarification on what Howard was referring to. It's kind of like, it reminds me of when Chapman threw at Brosseau's head against the Rays a couple of years ago. And Kevin Cash, post-game, basically said, I got a stable of guys who can throw 100. Watch yourself. Like,
right.
I feel like it makes sense if guard wants a bit of clarification, so that way he can avoid any potential retaliation in the future. But you don't know, which is why I think guard might get one game. But Howard definitely made the worst of that situation.
Yep. Okay. Very good. All right, there you go, guys. So that's you know, again, we had to talk about it, and obviously there's a whole racial component involved that you can certainly develop your own theories, read about, whatever. That's a road we just have no desire to go down at all. So
Bruce is not wrong too. Says all of them are idiots. Yeah, you know,
that's very true.
Degree. Yeah,
yeah, he doesn't have to. Why not both? Yep, totally. I could definitely see that there. And it's, you know, it's all about gamesmanship, and you know, we see it in every sport, and sometimes it just kind of blows up like that. So,
Bruce, I'm actually okay with the timeout because, I mean, why is Juwan Howard pressing down 15 points with 20 seconds to go? Like, it kind of goes both ways. If Howard wants to make a statement saying we're going to full court press, deal with it, and then Wisconsin says, "Are we actually doing this?" You know what? I'm gonna give you the finger, and he called timeout, which is basically what it was.
Yep, that's the way it's
in a way. You can talk about playing to the final whistle, playing whatever, but why is Howard full court pressing when the game's clearly over? I think it goes both ways.
Fair enough. All right, somebody asking about some actual basketball games tonight, and a couple pretty good teams involved here, Scott. UCLA going up against Arizona State, and then the Baylor game as well. So UCLA at home laying a ton. You know, we talk about it before as we get to this point in conference play.
And crap out of Washington State.
Yeah, and I think somebody was talking up the virtues of Washington State there. I can't remember who it was, but
they weren't a bad team.
No, they're a decent defensive team as well, but they had nothing for this UCLA team. Nobody from the state of Washington has had anything for this UCLA team. So, did they keep rolling, Scott? Did they make it a three-peat there at home, Arizona State? I don't know, maybe a half a step up from Washington State. Washington, although they did get whomped by Washington on the road. So
I'm going to go with UCLA here. It seems like a good revenge spot. I just, because of course they lost the first meeting in, was it double overtime, triple overtime?
Yeah.
So I think they'll do better here. Arizona State definitely been better at home than on the road. But UCLA seems to be hitting a gear. And Arizona State, of course, is still not a very good team. it seems like a very good revenge spot for UCLA.
Yeah, they've won 6 home games in a row by 16 or better, 5 of them by 20 or better. So they're not afraid of beating the shit out of people at home. I'm not stepping in front of the Bruin situation there. And Baylor, Skeeter.
I think they should take care of business against Oklahoma State. It's also a revenge game. Oklahoma State went into Baylor and pulled off a shocking upset there, but they beat Kansas State in overtime last game. Oklahoma State lost previously to Kansas. They lost to TCU. It seems like they beat the teams they should beat, but they struggle against the higher up teams with the exception of the Baylor upset there. I think it's another revenge spot. I like Baylor. I think they'll take care of business. You? If Baylor won the first meeting, I might be tempted to go with Oklahoma State, but they didn't. So I'm going to go with the Bears.
Yeah, Oklahoma State blew them out there in Waco, which was just bizarre. 27-point swing on the line. So,
yeah.
Again, this Oklahoma State team looked good against K-State, but K-State slightly above average, not nearly the quality team, obviously, that Baylor is. I will, you know what? No. Too many points. Give me the Cowboys.
Okay, fair enough.
Give me the Cowboys. As far as the total goes, I do like the over in that spot.
I think it might be correlated. I think if Oklahoma State's going to cover, I think it's going under. I just don't think they can keep up with Baylor offensively.
No, they're going to have to slow it down and play defense, and I think that's what's going to happen.
So I think if you want to go correlated and you can take an Oklahoma State with an under, I don't necessarily mind that if you want to try to go for a boosted payout. But if Baylor gets to, let's just say, 70, are we sure Oklahoma State's going to get to 66? I'm not. I think that's the problem.
Yeah. No, and I see that. I'm looking at Baylor's got a couple of somebody pointed it out to us, a couple of questionable players going tonight.
STM Network, just because I went to Wisconsin doesn't mean I have overalls.
You do have them though, don't you? Didn't I ask you?
I do not.
I thought I asked you this before.
I said no.
But you've worn them before.
Yes, on one occasion I have.
You wore the striped overalls.
I think at one point I did.
Okay, very good. So Baylor's looking at Flagler and Cryer potentially being out tonight. Does that matter to you?
It does. Flagler's good. I do think that kind of does play a factor. So
Cryer's our leading scorer too. So
yeah, I've probably gone from full Baylor lean to maybe just a slight lean, but keep an eye on those two guys.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, that's STM Network says you wore somebody else's overalls. That's exactly the first thing come in mind. Yeah. Okay. I think we're exactly saying the same thing.
That's the thing, though, is when you show up at Wisconsin for the first time, the last thing you think about bringing to college is a pair of overalls.
Did you?
That wasn't on the checklist.
Did you own a pair of overalls before you came to college?
No.
Had you ever worn?
At no point did that cross my mind. So I had somebody who lived on my floor who was from Wisconsin, who naturally had like 4 pairs. So he just lent me one. You know.
Somebody said the Flames tonight are a stone cold lock. Well,
Flames playing good hockey.
Minus 240, I hope so. UCLA over. Any thoughts on the total before we get
UCLA
our plows out?
Under.
Huh?
Defensively, they've been so good. I just think they'll put the clamps down.
It's hard to get involved with an over. I mean, that's the thing is it's such a tempting number. I get that at 131.5, 132, whatever you're catching it at. But then you look at how UCLA has treated these teams as far as giving up points at home. 50, 56, 43, 57, 59. And that 59 is to Arizona, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I would be you might as well play the Arizona team total over. That'd be my advice.
You mean under?
What's that? I mean, I'm sorry, UCLA team total over. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
UCLA team total over would be my play there.
Okay. About the Calgary game, if you don't want to lay that much juice, I don't mind the Winnipeg team total under. You're going through Calgary's performances here. This is the opponent's goals for the last couple of games. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 0, 2, 3, 1. Oh, sorry, 2, 3, 0. If it's 2.5, I like the under. Because that means that 8 of the last 9 opponents have gone under. So under 2.5 is where I'll go for a team total.
Max Moran pointing out the total in that UCLA game has dropped like 3 points already.
As it should. Because the question is, can Arizona State score?
Right.
I doubt it.
That certainly is the question. All right, buddy. Well, let's get to it. We have bad news, guys, and I'm sure most of you already know the bad news. But we had to give a little farm back, Scott. We had to give just
damn Cornell bastards.
If we'd have gone to Ivy League schools, we would be smart enough not to bet on Ivy League games.
All I know is that Cornell was leading by, I think it was 2 with like 3 to go. And they got outscored by like 13 the rest of the game. Like they got absolutely buried after that. But Cornell was in a position to win.
Yeah, well, they were up 2 at halftime, I think, right?
Yeah, they were up 2 at half, and they were up 2 with, I want to say like 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, and everything hit the wall.
I had 2 Ivy League plays for my play of the day for Friday night. I said I've got 2 Ivy League totals. The system says I should play them, but I'm only going to play one, and here's the other one. So don't play that one. It was Princeton. It was a Princeton under. I'm like, I'm not getting involved.
I'm guessing you lost the one you gave out, but you won the one you didn't get.
Seen this movie before, huh?
Yeah.
My God. Just call him Kreskin, everybody. Right there. All right, let's get to it. So it's time to start a new streak, everybody. It is time, once again, to put on your overalls, striped or otherwise, and adjust your straw hat, climb aboard your John Deere, pull out that lucky key set with your rabbit's foot right there, stick them in, and do what? Fire that bad boy up, because it is time to bet the farm. All right, very good. We do have a farm play from the farmland out there in Indiana, and it is going to be Valparaiso. Talking about team totals, we're going to take Valparaiso team total over 66.5. The Beacons, that's right, they're the Beacons. No longer the Crusaders, kids. The Beacons average.
I missed the Crusaders' name.
I know. I get it.
So good. It was so good.
Beacons average 71.5 points per game overall and 68.9 points per game in conference play. Meanwhile, Evansville, hey, did they play any defense? Not so much. They are 212th in defense.
Wait, did you play the music?
What's that?
Did you play the music?
For what?
For Bet the Farm.
I played the Moo.
Did you? I guess I didn't hear it. My bad.
My God, dude. How much Adderall are you doing?
Apparently not enough, because I wasn't focused enough on the theme song.
Jesus. Yes.
I actually don't remember. I wasn't sure if you played it or not. Okay, never mind.
Because you're used to hearing it moo and then the banjo music.
Yeah.
And we didn't play any banjo
I'm
music.
so used to winning that I forgot.
Wow.
To win.
Wow.
No, my bad.
Tell me you're an arrogant bastard without... No, that's...
Force of habit, man. I mean, we were cruising.
You know what's even worse is when I'm going along with the show and forget whether I've said something or not.
Yeah.
So, yes. All right, anywho, where was I? Oh, they've met before. We've done this dance before, Scott. Valparaiso scored 72 points against Evansville, despite shooting just what, like 5 for 13 from the line? Very poorly from the line.
I think it was 13 to 21.
Exactly. I knew there was an 8 involved there somewhere. So yes, they left some points on the board. They shot very well, and there's very little that says they shouldn't be able to shoot well again. The numbers have been trending up in Valparaiso's game. So even if Evansville will try to slow the game down, spoiler alert, they will try to slow the game down. I think Valparaiso would be able to impose their will and run it with enough pace to take care of business here. And if you look over Valparaiso's numbers, they they've got some bad scoring games. They put in some 50s and stuff. However, those have all come against real teams: Missouri State, Southern Illinois with their defense, Illinois Chicago, or Loyola Chicago rather. So there have been some really good teams that held them down. Evansville, the Purple Aces, they are not one of those teams. So we like Valparaiso, the Beacons, to total over 66.5 tonight. That's going to do it for the farm. That's going to do it for the show. Once again, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for being there. We appreciate y'all, and thanks for all the comments. Keep it coming, guys. Have a great day, and don't forget, we do this each and every day, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, as Scott and I will grab you and take you into the jungle and guide you through as we all head back to the window. You guys have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.